Dude, what are you doing, man? Please let me out of this.
What's level with his head?
What the fuck are you doing, dude? You're gonna kill him. Just stop it.
Garrett, right?
Yeah.
Please, I'm time.
Okay.
You said that the paint can would knock him back, like in the movie.
Okay, look, I take it back. Everything I said. I'm sorry. You win. Just stop it, please.
Let's just try it one more time.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff, and this week we're talking about Better Watch Out, a 2016 movie about Christmas. It's kind of like Home Alone, but if the stakes were really high. And I hyped this up a lot last week, and then we watched it all together, and we invited our spooky crew to join us. And I tried to maintain the twist for everybody, and now I'm feeling like maybe that was a mistake, because I think I forgot a little bit how fucking hard it slaps you in the face, like the second that you get to that point, and then it just like keeps slapping you in the face for the rest of the movie. And I was delighted by that, but some people I think maybe were a little overwhelmed. Was that the case for the two of you? Did you hate it? Did you hate me for not warning you? How'd you feel?
I would have hated you if you had warned me. I would have been absolutely furious to have known the twist, because like I just get this high off of not knowing what the fuck's gonna happen next, and this one really I didn't see it coming at all. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd watched the trailer, and the trailer, like, now that I've seen the movie, the trailer does kind of give some stuff away, but if you're not expecting what the actual twist is, it doesn't. And so I was like, what the fuck? And I really enjoyed the first 30 minutes of this movie, and then once the twist happened, I was like, fuck this. I don't like this anymore.
Yeah, I think the thing with the twist is that, and the trailer, is that you watch the trailer, and if you know what happens, it 100% gives everything away. Like literally everything. But if you don't know the twist, I think it is a little bit just like so balls to the wall that you couldn't anticipate it, that like and here's where I'm gonna say again, spoilers, if you are listening and you haven't watched this movie and you're hearing us talk about how there's a huge twist and you want it at all maintained beyond what has already been said, you need to turn this podcast off, because we're about to get into it. And it really is worth the surprise, I think, even if you don't like it. But would you agree, Sydney?
Yes, but like, again, don't listen to this podcast, because if you know the twist, it will ruin the movie. So don't do it. Like, stop.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Don't not listen to the podcast. Just pause it. Just
listen to a different episode.
Yeah, go to a different
and then
episode,
come back,
pause, and then you watch it. You come back, okay? Please come back.
Anyway, I rewatched the trailer after we had all watched the movie together, and I was like, how did Sydney see this trailer and like not get it? But then I had to put myself in the frame of mind where, you know, we've all seen Home Alone, and when you see Luke, the main boy character in this movie, and Better Watch Out, when you see his like gleeful excitement over hitting somebody with a baseball bat and stuff like that, like Kevin McCallister had that same gleeful excitement. He had that same zest for mischief, if you will. You know what I mean? So like, I 100% understand how you could think this is just in the same Home Alone spirit, instead of like where you can hit somebody in the face with a paint can and they just fall over, and you can, what do they do, like electrocute people in Home Alone, and it's like everybody's fine, but now they have to go to jail. Bummer. Like in this movie, if you electrocute somebody, like they will die. You know what I mean? And so
they're not surviving.
It's easy to forget watching the trailer that this is a horror movie and not a kid's Christmas movie. And then I think once you are actually watching it and you realize what's going on, that's when you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Because, like, in Home Alone, the villains are like Wile E. Coyote. They just keep getting murked and murked, but they come back. They fall off a cliff, they come back. But, like, that's not how the real world works. Shocker. And so it was really fun to see that kind of stuff, like, actually do the damage that it would do, but also truly disturbing, and I'll never be the same.
I mean, there's still a little bit Wile E. Coyote-ishness here in that I was gonna say, I feel like you couldn't get hit in the head with a baseball bat that many times and still be relatively okay. But I have been hit in the head with a baseball bat, so now I'm not sure.
It is an aluminum
Never
baseball
been the
bat,
same,
so
no.
it's not as sturdy as, say, a wooden baseball bat.
Oh,
So,
okay, all right.
Thank
That's
God we
good
have
insight.
Sydney here, our registered baseball expert.
Okay, but let's start by talking about everything before the twist. What did you guys think was happening when you were watching the movie? Like, where did you think it was going? What were your takeaways at that point?
Okay, well, my first note that I have, I think I predicted the twist. I said,
Oh.
these kids suck. So there you go. I knew from the beginning. But honestly, it opens up with, what's his actual name? We've been calling him Carrot, but his name is Garrett. But I think Carrot is better, and I think we started calling him Carrot because he looks exactly like Beans, and he needed to have a food name to, like, really solidify that relationship. I don't know. That was my mindset.
It was because Rebecca said it sounded like she was saying carrot the whole time. Every time the main character called him Garrett with her Australian accent, trying to be an American accent, it just came out sounding a lot like carrot.
That's
They
a
thought that was his name.
superior name. It's a really good name. And also, it had that undercover homage to maybe his dad, which is Beans.
from Even Stevens.
From Even Stevens, to be clear. Also, to be honest, I was like, I know who Beans is, but I don't know the realm in which he exists. So thank you for reminding me that I was. I was like, I have no idea what it's from. But yeah, it starts out with Carrot and Lucas sitting in their room being absolutely gross preteen boys, and I was immediately just not down with either of them. I mean, is that what preteen boys really talk about? They're talking about trying to set the mood for this 12-year-old boy to get with his 16-year-old babysitter.
I love that quote, though, where he's like, want to put her in a mood? Watch a horror movie. When we're scared, our brains pump out dopamine, the same chemical we released when we're aroused. And Garrett goes, so fear really makes girls wet? And Luke's like, told ya.
I think the dialogue at every point in this movie is pretty incredible. There's so much back and forth that I love between the boys. This is after the first inkling at the twist. When he pushes his babysitter down the stairs and then she comes to, but you can like see the boys in the background being like, Adventure Time chicks, fuck, marry, kill. Like, that's when I screamed and never stopped screaming.
He didn't just push her down the stairs, he bitch slapped her down the stairs. Straight up. Straight up. It's more forceful than that.
Yeah, but that dialogue. First of all, no love for Lumpy Space Princess, which I found to be very rude. But that they would suggest the Adventure Time girls for fuck, marry, kill, and then talk about how everybody in the Candy Kingdom is ravenous for flesh, so Princess Bubblegum must be good at giving head. Like, I don't see the logical connection, first of all, but the fact that they're like her pussy tastes like bubblegum, like, just a lot to take in at that
How
scene.
much better being stretchy? It was so gross.
Yeah, these kids are wild, but they're having really fun discussions, and I kind of respect that. You know what I mean?
The banter in this movie is A+. Like, I will give the writing on this movie is a great, fun
Totally.
thing.
Also, the way that the babysitter, and I don't know why I don't have her name on hand at the moment, it's just gone to me. Ashley, thank you. The way she keeps calling him little buddy and kiddo, like, slays me.
Ooh, just bring him back down to size, honey. Just absolutely ruin the mood for him. I love it. He deserved it. He really did.
Yeah, and just in case you did decide to listen to this podcast without seeing the movie, and then you're like, what are they talking about? Just the basic premise is that Ashley is 17. She's babysitting this 12-year-old. His name is Luke. She's been babysitting him for a while. I don't remember how long she said, but basically the premise is that I think she like started dating him or dating him. She started babysitting him. He wishes, am I right? She
Yeah.
started babysitting him when he was like 8 and she was 13, which is I think like normal babysitter ages. Very Babysitters Club on Netflix, you know what I mean? And so it kind of makes sense that she would stay the babysitter if the parents liked her and they thought she did a good job. And it does get to a point where you're like, why does a 12-year-old need a babysitter? And
Yeah.
the answer is that he probably doesn't, but clearly the parents have some concerns about him because he's sleepwalking again. And also, you have to consider the fact that he's a horny 12-year-old in love with his babysitter. So, of course, he would be like, can Ashley come over? Because there's no way he can get Ashley to come over just on his own. So, he's got
No,
to
she would
get his
never.
parents to pay her to be there.
Wow. I have a joke in my friend group that our parents are all paying each other to be each other's friends, and that's like kind of essentially what's actually happening here with Lucas. That's very sad for him.
I mean, it's not sad for him because he is cray, as we see in the movie. So she's a 17-year-old babysitting this 12-year-old kid. He's trying to hook up with her, essentially. And he devises this whole scheme where he gets his best friend Garrett Carrot involved, where they like fake a home invasion so that he can be like her knight in shining armor. It's the quote in the beginning where he's basically like, horror movies make girls wet. But I'm going to go a step further and I'm going to put us in a horror movie instead to really get her dripping. And then when things
I
go
just vomited.
off the rails and Ashley starts to be like, this is too fucking far. I'm calling your parents. They're going to come home. Like, this is like, you know, you are insane and I'm furious. Like, I almost fell out of the attic into the floor below and broke my
Yes.
fucking neck. That's when he bitch slaps her down the stairs and things get even crazier. Because he's like, actually, Ashley, you're not in charge here. And then things escalate from there.
Do we think that he planned the second part, or is this just him like wilding out?
I feel like he might have thought up some extreme scenarios because he was kind of too good at handling all the twists and turns. Not that he was level-headed at all, that's not what I'm saying, but like the fact that he had like a big jug of paint and a rope like right near him. Like I feel like he's been thinking about this for a while, or maybe they had tried to test that before because they were talking about it in the first place. But I don't know, just based on like the little hints in the beginning, I think this guy is absolutely unhinged and has watched a few too many horror films. So like he was ready to kill if he had to, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and forth for a while thinking about this. At first, I was like, he just had the home invasion plot, but he had like backup plans essentially. But then the more that I thought about it, the more I think this was the plan the whole time. There's a line at the end where Ashley says, "You were never gonna let me go, were you?" And Lucas says, "Guilty." And the moment that really solidified it for me on rewatch is, okay, so there's a point where he has Ashley tied up, duct taped to the chair, and Garrett is kind of being like, all right, this is getting a little too far for me. I don't know what's happening anymore. I feel like this is beyond my control. Now I'm worried we really will get caught. And then Ricky shows up. Ricky, who is Ashley's boyfriend, who she'd been like texting and calling in the beginning of the movie. And you're like, why is Ricky here? Because Ashley told him not to come and that it wasn't gonna, like, they had planned to meet up maybe after Lucas went to bed, and she was just like waiting up for the parents to get home. And then she's like, I don't think that's gonna work out, because she's like, turns out Lucas being very troublesome tonight. But then Ricky does show up, And once he's in the chair and he has been subdued by Lucas and Carrot, he's like, you did text me to come here. And that's when Garrett's like, they realize Luke texted Ricky from Ashley's phone, but he showed up early because Garrett had been like, oh, okay. Because here's the thing: they have this whole plan where they're like, Ashley, you have to drink this alcohol with I don't know what it was, liquid GHB in it or something. They were essentially going to roofie her. So that she wouldn't remember anything and that they would get away with everything they'd done up to that point. And Garrett's like, Lucas walked me through it. It's the best way. It's like that he thinks like that's as far as things are going, and then they'll knock her out and nobody will know what they did in this night of mischief. But then Ricky shows up and things get more involved because now they've hit another person with a baseball bat, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah, things are going higher. But that's when Garrett realizes essentially that like Lucas is scheming behind his back. And I don't think Ricky could have ever been invited to come there without the Jeremy plan being involved as well. Jeremy is Ashley's ex-boyfriend, who she thinks in the beginning is maybe stalking her a little bit. He's like kind of just not leaving her alone, and he's a douchebag, and he is wearing an immaculate fit when he shows up, and he's the guy who played Billy in Stranger Things.
Dacker. His name is Dacker. His last name is something I don't know.
Montgomery. I just didn't know how to say his first name, and I didn't want to put it on record.
I think it's Dacker. And if it's not, then Dacker, you can tell me to my face.
Dacker, come tell us to our faces.
Tell me to my face.
Anyway, still hot as hell, but looking like an he looks like the what's his name? Shitbag Steve, that meme where it's like the guy with the hat, you know what I mean?
Oh my god.
That's who he looks like when he finally shows up at the end of the movie. But so I think this was the plan all along, essentially. And maybe there were some things he didn't anticipate and he was happy to improv. And we saw some things did go a little bit wrong. Do you want to jump in there, Sydney? I saw you trying to speak.
So one thing that I noticed on my rewatch of this was when we were talking about the fuck, marry, kill scene, Garrett is like riding around on his scooter and he's taking an Oxycontin.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's like Garrett is basically out of it, like, and so he's probably going along with this plan, just being like, like, I'm 12 and on pain, like, prescription drugs, so, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, and Luke has been just chugging champagne all night, which, like, he's gotta be either he's fake drinking, but I don't think he is, because if you're 12, champagne is gonna get you wasted because of all the bubbles.
Well, Sydney, they say earlier in the film, Luke is like, yeah, me and Garrett split a bottle one time, and Garrett yacked everywhere. So he has experience drinking champagne.
Yeah, Sydney knows how to handle his liquor. He's 12.
A veteran.
But here's the thing, like, in my notes, I was like, there is no way that he would be able to chug this champagne, because I know from scientific research that if you chug champagne, it is coming right out of your nose.
Oh yeah, that champagne's got to be flat. Something's going on there.
Scientific research meaning Sydney tried to chug champagne and it shot out of her nose.
Here's the thing, I have 2 fake front teeth from trying to drink champagne out of a bottle for 2 separate occasions.
Oh my god.
Oh god. Okay, so Luke can hold his champagne, but Sydney cannot. Like, physically, she can't hold the bottle.
Do not give me access to champagne.
Okay, I'm making a note for next time we hang out. But, okay, for me, I like this movie a lot better, thinking that Luke is just 100% pure psychopath, sociopath, whatever, which one it is. Because, like, rewatching the movie, I watched it twice, because the first time I watched it, we watched it with our whole crew, and I was so overwhelmed that I took like 5 notes, and that was it. So I had to watch it again. But watching it the second time, and like especially the scene before the twist occurred, or the scenes before the twist occurred, you see him like doing all this like faux heroic stuff to try to like impress, in scare quotes, Ashley. Like he's like, I'll go get the gun, you stay here. Like, she's like, no, don't go, and he's like, I have to do it. Like, that kind of like G.I. Joe shit. Like, he does all this stuff that he like doesn't need to do, like, and it's all like a mind game, you know? When you know what the twist is going to be afterwards, you're like, wow, he's really fucking with her. Like, yeah, it could be him like legitimately trying to impress her in this scenario, but I like it a lot better as it all being psychological torture up until the moment when he pushes her or bitch slaps her down the stairs. Like the spooky Santas at the beginning, y'all remember those? Like, she opens the door, I don't know, pizza man comes. Oh, that's another thing.
Yes.
He orders secret pizza to come to the house, and he puts this when I figured this out, I was like, you psychopath. He orders it with mushrooms on it when she knows he doesn't like mushrooms, just to make it seem like some other person who is evil and likes mushrooms sent this pizza. Like, he really thought this out. I really liked that detail.
I mean, only evil people like mushrooms on their pizza.
All right,
So that makes sense.
let's not be hasty.
I'm evil then, because I just got a really dank, like, triple mushroom pizza from Triple Beam Pizza. Absolutely, mwah, chef's kiss, delicious. So,
Triple mushroom, Monica. Hi, we're doing a podcast with an absolute psychopath. Goodbye.
sorry,
I'm sure you're
triple
evil,
mushroom
but so am
things
I,
right
Sydney.
now.
So you're the only one on it. Anyway,
I'm
but yeah,
sorry.
okay, not only is it just like, there's a line where she's like, mushrooms? Your dad wouldn't order this. There's a line specifically in the beginning where they talk about ordering a pizza, and he's like, anything but mushrooms. Like, he really lays it on thick.
I
And
hate
also,
mushrooms.
yeah, my favorite moment on hindsight when we were watching it together is I guess he's got like pet spiders, or he acquired spiders somehow for this evening. But there's one in the kitchen in the beginning, and Ashley sees it and freaks out and is like, come kill it, come kill it. And so Luke runs in, but he just very gently traps the spider so he can let it out in the backyard. And in my notes, I wrote, knowing the twist, knowing what happens later, I wrote, he refuses to kill the spider in the beginning. What a gentle soul. And then in that exact moment in our chat where we discussed the movie as we're watching it, Monica was like, what a sweet soul. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to gaslight you.
100%. That's 100% what he was trying to do. Also, I should have known that was planned at the beginning of the movie, because, like, where in the earth would there just be naturally occurring large spiders in like that? Like, I was like, absolutely not. That cannot be real. I was like, does this take place in the middle of the jungle? They open their doors and they're in the center of the jungle. That's the only explanation.
It does take place with large spiders.
Yeah, it's filmed in Australia, which is why all the doorknobs are so high. Also, apparently that's a thing. It's
So one of my friends is Australian, and so I messaged him and I was like, is this a thing? Like, is this a real thing in Australia? And he was like, oh yeah, 100%. So shout out Jared for confirming that.
Jared.
And I was concerned because
Jared
is like 6'6", and I'm like, I don't know, maybe doorknobs for him are just normal size. But no, he's like,
wow.
America's doorknobs are a lot shorter than Australia's doorknobs.
Yeah. Oh, apparently the director was like, why is this happening? This is so distracting in every shot. But I guess he got over it. And we mostly got over it because I only noticed it once or twice where it really stood out.
Oh my god, I noticed it the entire movie.
Anyway, but here's the thing.
This is really taking me out of it.
Spider-wise, other than the fact that they film in Australia, which you theoretically don't know while watching the movie, other than almost every single actor is Australian, doing an American accent. But there are giant, like, tarantulas in Home Alone. You know what I mean? So, like, if you just know the basic premise of the movie and not the twist, it would be easy to be like, oh, that's just like a Home Alone homage.
Well, so she has one live, I think it's a huntsman spider that they use, which is it's more than a tarantula, like it's a big ass spider. And they were gonna do like a bunch of CGI spiders
in the attic
because in the attic scene, but it would be too expensive, and so they were just going to cut that scene altogether. And the girl that plays Ashley, who is terrified of spiders, was like, no, like, do a live one. Like, I will suffer through it. And so, like,
What a queen.
that is, like,
She's
she
incredible.
What a
she
legend.
is committed.
I love her.
Shout out to that actress Olivia, and we're gonna mess it up, DeJong. Thank you for your hard work and sacrifice. And I'm sorry for butchering your last name.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, despite the fact that I forgot her name in the beginning of this podcast, I think she did an amazing job. I think her character is absolutely incredible. Legend shit. Love her. Iconic. Praise her to the end of time. I thought that she was amazing, and she did some badass final girl shit throughout this movie. Like, she's so smart. At every opportunity, she's like clear-headed. She keeps her mind like whirring away the whole time. She's thinking, you know, she be thinking some thoughts.
She be do thinking. Okay, yeah, I totally agree. Like, first time she shows that off. Well, okay, no. A time where at first I wasn't sure how smart she was, because when they actually thought it was a real home invasion at first, and Carrot shows up, she's like, I'm gonna go upstairs with this knife and confront the person who broke in, and if I scream, call 911. The worst plan I've ever heard in my entire life. But other than that, she's incredible. But at the very beginning, I was like, Ashley, this is a bad idea. Please call the police now.
It's a bad plan, in that she probably would die if things were real. But it is not the worst plan in the sense that, you know, I think by that point her car had already been stabbed, so there's no driving away, and the phone lines were all down, so there was no calling for help, and
She doesn't know about any of that yet. This is right after they hear the brick go through the window, and so they just hear that, and it's because the brick says, if you leave, you die, and they don't find out about that until they go
Oh.
upstairs. They try to call the police. They can't call the police. The cell phones aren't working. The internet doesn't work. And then she says to Garrett, I don't know, use your techno magic. Your fucking techno magic. I was like, wow. She's
She
great.
looked at him and she said, "You're a nerd. Figure out the Wi-Fi."
I love that no matter how old anybody is, like, if you are younger than us, we just automatically assume you know how to do more things on the internet than we do.
They're born with that knowledge now.
It's true.
They get it
They
through
just know.
osmosis.
That's the benefit of microchipping our children, you know? I'm kidding. But yeah, so the plan, not that great, because she had, at that point, she could have had many, many options, like calling right away. Call the police immediately. Go outside. Don't be a 17-year-old person going upstairs to your doom. Also, don't go upstairs. This is the first rule.
Yeah, rule number 1 of horror movies, never go upstairs. Always leave. Like, I don't give a shit. Just
and
run
also
away.
they're watching the movie, a scary movie, like before all this starts happening, and the character in the movie they're watching like goes into the attic, and either her or Luke is like, don't go in the attic, and then they go in the attic like 5 minutes later. It's very upsetting to see. But you know, she
The attic would
turns
have been
her
great
shit around.
though if Luke wasn't behind the whole thing.
Right.
True. It could have been work. It's a great defensive point, you know? You can like throw stuff down through the hole.
There's only one entrance. You've got better eyes on it than they would have on you coming up.
Yep.
You can just hide and not move around until you hear the parents get home later. Like, theoretically, it would be a good place to be.
And as we learn in Black Christmas, nobody checks the attic.
Oh, ooh. The attic is our through line here.
100%. That's the through line. It's beautiful. And Christmas.
We also have another fun through line, not for Black Christmas, but with Gremlins. The director of this did a Reddit AMA, and it was like, Gremlins is one of my favorite Christmas movies, and this movie has a lot of Gremlin vibes.
Ooh, the technology is on the fritz. Better check for Gremlins.
Channel your inner gremlin. Release your inner Gimsmo. But in this case, I feel like Luke was releasing his inner Spike/Stripe.
Right? Like, this is all Luke drinking the champagne water and is now a gremlin.
It happens. It happens. I bet if you put champagne on a Mogwai, something bad would happen too. So it checks out. But okay, so Ashley being a total badass, once she's done fucking up in that one instance, that's the only time. That's the only time that she made any real mistakes. But at the as soon as she's tied up, she fucking scoots her little chair to a flashlight to try to do some freaking Morse code. Like, wow, okay. She's crafty. I don't know Morse code. That's amazing.
Also, one thing that I loved about the first scene when she's tied up, is Luke draws lips on her, which is very reminiscent of the 2000s Charlie's Angels, when the guy
Yes.
draws lips on Drew Barrymore, and I was like, love this reference. Love this. Luke has no idea what he's doing, but I get it.
Luke
You know
doesn't know
what?
what he's doing, but Ashley is absolutely about to pull a Charlie's Angels. And she does use the chair that she is duct taped to as a weapon later on in the film. I loved her chair choreography once she had it, you know what I mean? She at one point she gets like a shard of glass from the bottle she breaks by fucking headbutting it so she doesn't have to drink it, by the way. Iconic
That was
genius, I love her.
such a good
Um
move.
Yes, and she gets the sliver of glass and she slowly is cutting the duct tape off. But she gets to a point where she has both of her feet freed and one wrist freed, but not the last wrist. And there's just no time left, so she says, fuck it, and she picks up the chair and just brings it with her. I love that. I think that's amazing. I just think um other than that first plan, she did absolutely everything right, and she was the smartest little baby in the world, and I love her.
This is not at all related to what we were just discussing, but I just went onto the page for Levi Miller, the guy who plays Luke,
Mhm.
and his most famous role is he played Peter Pan in Pan. I'm just like, wow, he's got range.
Peter Pan does have a little psycho energy, though. You know what I mean? So that also feels right.
True. But also, he is kind. You know, at his
he?
whole, at his whole, at his whole. Oh my god, sorry. Excuse me, misspoke. But he's an adorable kid. You almost believe that he's not unhinged at the beginning. So great actor.
He is okay.
Great actor.
In the beginning, you're like, this kid is fucked up. You just don't realize the exact degree to which he's fucked up. But he has, first of all, I love his squeaky, creaky, little cracky preteen voice as he's very clearly going through puberty in this moment. Like, I'm obsessed with that. I thought it was so funny throughout the whole film.
So such a good touch.
Yes. But also, you know, we learned that he still sleeps with what Carrot calls his fetus machine.
Womb sounds. Womb
Which
sounds.
isn't inherently fucked up, because I mean, I slept with my closet light on for like most of my childhood. I listen to ASMR to go to sleep now, you know what I mean? I feel like that's not super different than womb sounds, other than womb sounds are creepy.
It's like a little bit different than womb sounds.
Yes, but if they didn't call it a womb sound machine or whatever, they were just like rhythmic beats, we would all be like sick.
It 100% sounds. Wow, what did I just say? It 100% sounds like blood going through the body and the heart pumping, though. And that's what it's supposed to sound like. It's not like boom, 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 boom. It's like squash, 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 like the
It
sound of a
doesn't
heart.
sound squashy.
Yes,
Anyway,
it does.
I'm just saying, if that was on an ASMR channel, I would not. If they called it something else, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't occur to me listening to it that this must be what it sounds like inside of the womb, even if that's what it must be sounds like. You know what I mean? I just don't think I would make that connection on my own. And even if I did make that connection, I don't think I would be like, this is weird to listen to. I would just be like, but it sounds nice. You know what I mean?
I don't feel similarly, but you do you. And I know anybody who has trouble sleeping and they found something that works, I'm happy for you. Okay, that's wonderful. I have to snuggle with my dog to fall asleep at this point, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But we should have seen this as a red flag right away because it does show that he's got some mommy issues. So just saying.
100% he has some mommy issues. And then as we learn as the movie goes on, he's got some consent issues as well. He's kind of a baby. I guess I shouldn't say kind of, because he's 100% a baby incel. He's trying to get with Ashley, which is really interesting in hindsight, knowing that he has this whole plan. Because there's a moment in the beginning where he's talking with Carrot in his room about hooking up with Ashley, and he's like, it's now or never. And in the beginning, you think it's because Ashley is moving. And so this is like his last opportunity before she moves to Pittsburgh from wherever they are. That's never particularly defined.
From Australia.
Yes. And then you find out later that it's because everybody gonna die tonight. Presumably because she didn't return any of his advances earlier. I don't know. I don't know what he would have done if anything would have gone differently if she was into it this time. And if she had been like, actually, I love you, 12-year-old Luke. You're the one for me. I suspect probably kind of the same. I don't really think it was about that for him. Other than, he was a little excited to touch a tit. He did pop a boner immediately. Immediately. The second he laid his hand on that tit, he popped that boner. But that aside, I think he just had the thrill of being in charge and of masterminding the whole situation. I think it was like pulling the puppet strings that he was really excited about.
Yeah. Another
But
really
putting his hand on her leg in the beginning and being like, "Why are you dating Ricky?" I was like, "Shut up, mind your business."
Oh my god. Just like never put your hand on someone's leg like that. Like, oh god, that was so creepy to me. And he kept like putting his head on her shoulder and looking at her and all this stuff, and I'm just like, boy, you are literally like 1/8 of her height. Like, please stop. But another like really amazing moment, like final girl shit that Ashley did is when like I think it's like right after poor Ricky is murked in the worst way, which we'll get to. Um, Luke kind of like is talking to her and she's got tape over her mouth, and he like starts like petting her face and she like starts leaning into it like she likes it. And he was like, "Oh, do you like that?" And so he leaned closer to her and then she fucking kneed him in the dick, and I was like, "Yes, get him." She's good at like playing
Good
into
for you.
his obvious weaknesses throughout the film, and I'm just like, "You're a queen. Thank you, Ashley."
Oh, one of my favorite moments comes when she is tied up in the Christmas lights, and it's before he's put the duct tape back on her mouth. But he is basically telling her his sad backstory, which is that his mommy doesn't hold him when he goes to sleep anymore, which is
Ugh.
why he needs the womb sounds. Um,
Ugh.
but she essentially says to him, like, I know why your mom stopped holding you. And he's like, what? What is it? But she's like, I have turned my brain off and my face off, and I will be saying no more. And I'm just going to let you know that I know and you don't know, and you're never going to get it out of me. And this question that has driven you to this point that you have now murdered 2 people and you're about to murder me. And 3 people. He'd murdered 3 people at that point and was about to murder a 4th. She's just like, guess what? You're never going to fucking know. And it's just an absolute power move that she's like, I know that I have no options left to me at this point other than to just piss you the fuck off and be like, fuck you. So she takes what she can get as her one last little bit of revenge, which is just a little psychological torture in turn.
That
Yeah.
moment was absolutely beautiful, beautiful, and the only true response to hearing that absolutely unhinged monologue from young Lucas. I was just like, oh boy, wow, therapy, please, but it won't even help you. You're too far gone. Oh god.
Yeah, and he loses it. He's like, tell me I'm fucked up. Tell me you're disappointed. And she's just like, blank face, which says, you can choke, bitch. Like,
Yep.
beautiful.
straight up plays dead. Amazing. But then I was very sad because she was doing that power move and I was so happy, and then she gets stabbed in the neck right then.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
very unfortunate immediate consequence.
Which, like, honestly is sloppy of Luke. If he wanted to make sure that she was actually, you know, dead, he would have slit her throat and not just stabbed her. Like, come on. Don't get sloppy with your emotions.
But that emotional manipulation, it totally worked out. I mean, like, she got that move in at just the right time for him to slip, because it's also right after he's killed his best friend Carrot for touching Ashley, which you can tell is not part of his plan, because he does have like the ultimate freak out in that moment.
Oh yeah.
You can tell that's like the one thing that he thought somehow he would, I don't know, I guess maybe give Carrot like 3 more oxycodone and be fine. Maybe all along the liquid GHB was really for Carrot, so that he could go on with his life without worrying about being ratted out.
Mhm.
But that's the one thing he didn't plan for, and that's the one main thing he had to improv at the end, where he's like, okay, fuck, how do I incorporate this into the scene that I have set, so that it looks like this is, because what he had planned was for, basically, it seemed like Jeremy had gone crazy and come over to attack Ashley, and maybe Ricky was there, maybe Ricky showed up to help, but Jeremy got them both, and then he was like, actually, now I feel bad, and he killed himself. That was Lucas's plan, and Garrett wasn't part of it, and Lucas was going to be up sleeping in his bed the whole time because he needs a sleeping pill to go to sleep, and he has his womb machine like pumping blood
Blasted.
away. And he has a little pencil on his doorknob that his mom puts there so that she can tell if he's been sleepwalking or not. And so the pencil was going to be on the doorknob to prove that he had been in his room the whole time. Like, he went to some lengths, and then he had to kind of fit Garrett in at the last moment. Like, we kind of know at this point he's not going to get away with it, because his meticulous planning met something he couldn't anticipate. And then also he has trouble like getting everything put back to rights. Like, if the police, and there's no guarantee that the police would look at this crime scene and be like, we need to examine further, I guess. It's very possible that the police would be like, this sure is what it seems for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know that they're going to go check for footprints on the roof outside of Lucas's window or whatever. But if they did, they would be like, all right, there's stuff happening here that's funny. But he really does a pretty good job of planning it. And I wrote down in some of my notes, like, the groundwork that he had laid ahead of time, which is just incredible. And I do have some questions that I don't know how he pulled these things off, but it's his mind, pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, he's an evil mastermind for sure. But like
Yeah.
even after he kills Garrett, like he rolls with it. Like he's dancing through the house when he's fixing like setting the scene for all of these murders. So like he's not pressed at all. Like 0%.
I also have a bunch of questions on how he did, like, how did he pull all these things off? Like, it just, like, in my brain, it's just like, how is he able, one, to get Jeremy to do exactly what he want? How is he able to get Ricky to like not notice that Ashley was tied up? How, you know what I mean? Like, how is he able to get the catapult to go through the window when both he and Garrett were not there? Like, how was he able?
Yeah,
But how did he do that? Like, it just like everything worked too well in his favor that I was just like, you're 12. Like, this isn't almost 13. But like, this just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, my only 2 questions were, how did they get the delay on the catapult for the brick through the window? And how did they, like, remote start Ashley's car so that the headlights would beam through the front windows while everybody's inside? Those were my only questions.
So,
yeah, the lights, I was like, what the hell is that? But do we know it was from the car for sure?
It wasn't from the car. You see him cleaning when he comes back in. It's like work lights. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a stand. So
Oh.
that's what the lights were.
Okay,
feel
so I
like
mean,
they had-
maybe he had some kind of remote.
Yeah, I think that they had everything on a remote timer because, like, honestly, I'm not as surprised by all of this because they also set up a freaking, like, some sort of crazy weight-driven paintball gun that would, like, shoot you if you tripped a wire. Like, that's
Yeah.
very complex. So I feel like they've got some skills there. So, you know, I also don't always ask all of these questions because I'm just like, oh, well, it happened. Here you go. In this universe,
Yeah, I mean,
anything is possible.
I don't think it's an issue with the movie because I'm fully willing to believe that Garrett is some kind of little techno magic whatever. And that I mean, clearly they did figure out how to like turn all the Wi-Fi and I mean, they didn't do anything clever to trick the phones. They just literally unplugged them. But I'm
They put,
fully
like,
willing
they
to
put
believe that
tape?
they
Is that
figured
what that was?
what?
They put tape on the phone cord. Is that what that was at the end when they're taking it off? Is that how they made the phone stop working?
I just remember seeing them plug it back in.
Oh no, what they do is they take it out of the wall and pull something off of it and then put it back in.
Oh, smart.
I don't know.
So
I
smart.
don't know.
Okay,
I don't
see?
know how it works.
So he's out here, and he's really schemed for a long time and put a lot of things together. And I don't know what Garrett thought they were getting into and why he thought they needed him to fake die for this home invasion, which is hilarious. That he was just like, "This is fun." But I mean, I'm also fully willing to believe that 12-year-old boys are just that fucked up, and he thinks it's a fun prank, and you know, like obviously Lucas would grow up to be a serial killer, but I think Garrett would just grow up to be one of those boys who like does YouTube pranks and is like,
Oh my
prank gone wrong, where it's like, I convinced my friend I'm dead, and it's like you just do a little psychological trauma for them or whatever, and then you're like, gotcha,
God.
and you pretend it's a funny prank. Like, I'm fully willing to believe that that would have been Carrot's end game. And like,
That totally stands.
yes, you need therapy. Like, yes, that's bad, but that's like kind of garden variety bad in comparison to where Luke is.
Right, like that just seems like an unthought through prank of a 12-year-old boy. Like they're
Yeah,
gonna obviously think that that's funny.
Yeah, he's just like
Yeah.
there chilling, doing some drugs, and he's just like, okay, dare me to make out with Ashley, and it's just like, first of all, don't. I'm sending you to jail immediately. But second of all, that's like so 12-year-old boy to be like, we have this girl tied up at our disposal. We are fully running the show here. It's not fucked up if you dare me to make out with her, but I'm not gonna do it on my own because I'm 12.
It's just, I don't know. For me, I was like, Carrot can be saved, you know? Carrot's soul is not bad. Carrot is just along for the ride. Carrot is just a little 12-year-old who's doing drugs who loves Adventure Time. You know?
Yes.
He wasn't trying to kill. He wasn't built to kill. He loved his hamster before Lucas killed it in cold blood. He loved
Yeah.
it. That was another dope psychological move on Ashley's part when they're doing Truth or Dare. And Lucas does truth, and he's like, "Did you ever tell Garrett that you killed his hamster?" Oh yes, drive a wedge between the assailants. Do it.
Just absolutely incredible, because you know she could have been like, I dare you to let me go, and it would not have worked. But the fact that she was like, actually, I know exactly what the move is here, and it's to sow some discord between these two boys.
Mm-hmm. She's so smart. We love her.
I don't know. There's just like, I thought the dialogue was so incredible in this movie. I thought everything was so great. There were multiple scenes where I was like, I need to sit down and transcribe these word for word because I need to really appreciate this dialogue and what was happening in this scene. And the ones that I wrote down are the one in the beginning where they're talking about Home Alone in his bedroom and whether or not a paint can to the face would kill somebody. There's the scene slightly later in the bedroom where it's the want to put her in the mood, watch a horror movie exchange. And then there's the scene with the parents when they're leaving.
Oh, I love this scene, but it's also fucked up.
Yeah, the mom and dad, first of all, a little terrible, but also iconic. And the mom is Helen. Is that her name? Helen or Helena? Helen from
Helen.
Candywoman.
Candyman.
Candyman. I just was thinking about her, and I was like, how in love we were with her when we watched that movie with our OG Spooky crew, and I just like, I don't know. I got
She
lost for a
is
moment
the
there.
Candy
Anyway,
woman.
the mom is Helen from Candyman, and the dad is Kronk, but also he's from
Kronk!
Scream 3. My
Yes!
favorite Scream. He's the bodyguard from Scream 3. So I don't think that's why he was cast, because they watched Scream 3 and they were like, look at this incredible bodyguard, we need him in our film. But he was amazing. Anyway, so I wrote down their whole exchange where they're talking about whether or not he's metrosexual, and when he's like, you didn't put my ornaments on the tree, and she's like, are you sure you've never sucked a cock? I loved that back and forth.
So good.
Yes.
And he's like, what? Do you think I'm metrosexual? And she's like, it's metrosexual. So good. He's just a man who loves Christmas, okay? And is also inappropriate with the babysitter.
Yes, he sure is.
So when I was reading the director's AMA, they were talking about how it is Patrick Warburton's, who is the dad, who is Kronk, who is the bodyguard in Scream 3. It's his personal collection of gay Christmas ornaments, and he flew them down to Sydney, Australia. And like every single one of those ornaments are his. Like he owns them. And I was just like,
Kronk!
I love that. It's so pure.
That is pure. It's beautiful. I loved that dialogue, even if it's potentially a little homophobic, not of the movie, but of the parents.
Oh, it's 100% homophobic.
But that he's like, I'm allowed to like gay things. I was just like, yes, you are.
Well, I think it shows the mom is a horrible person.
Yeah,
like
she's
she
bad
definitely
too.
coddles Luke. She's like a total, horrible person to the dad. I think she is the reason why Luke has horrific toxic masculinity at only 12 years old.
Yeah, exactly. I think that lays some groundwork where she's like, are you sure you've never sucked a cock because you want to put your Wizard of Oz red slippers on the tree? You know what I mean? That goes to show me that, I mean, obviously both parents have their issues. So the dad is like kind of hitting on Ashley, which is inappropriate because she's 17, where he's like, did I give you permission to move to Pittsburgh? And like, Ashley, lovely as ever, or whatever he says. Like, he is crossing some boundaries, but in the way that adult men think is okay to do with teen girls. And it's not, but that's like normal adult predatory behavior, and not necessarily like it's concerning, but like I don't think he would ever actually. I regret going down this road in this discussion. I'm just saying, like,
in my notes, I just wrote, why did they take away Metro Kronk and replace him with pedophile Kronk?
Yeah.
So it was like a roller coaster whiplash kind of scenario where I was like, I'm loving this. And then I was like, I'm hating this within 5 seconds.
Listen, we would all be so lucky to have a beautiful metrosexual husband that wants to put Judy Garland Christmas ornaments up on our tree, okay? Like, we would be so lucky.
Yeah.
Praise him for his attention to detail.
The mother doesn't know a good thing when she has it right in front of her face.
But so you've got Luke here, and he's learned from his dad that it's okay to be inappropriate with the babysitter. And he's learned from his mom that it's not okay to be gay or to not be macho manly. And so he's put these things together to be like, not only will I be inappropriate with the babysitter, not only will I concoct a whole hero's fantasy where I am the manly man who saves her from intruders, but also, I can't be gay in this way that I'm stroking Carrot's face, so I must touch Ashley's boob.
Yeah, okay. I also was like, this is a young boy who is about to blossom into a beautiful gay man one day. That's what my thought was, like, at the very beginning of the movie. And then it got very lost along the way. So I feel like he's dealing with a lot of internal shit and he is figuring it out by killing people. And that is not the way to go.
I also have, like, again, I guess this is our could it be gayer. I think that Garrett went along with it because maybe he was also just, when he was like, Luke's my best friend. Is he in love with Luke? Like, could that be and he doesn't know, and he's like, maybe, who knows?
He's also
Why
the
am
one
I
that's like,
doing all
stop
this
fixating on your babysitter. Why can't we just get high together like bros?
Yeah.
Right?
Carrot.
He's like,
Stay
pay
eye
attention to me, don't pay attention to her.
Okay, not to get Harry Potter, but I will for 1 second. I mean, it's just like very Dumbledore and Grindelwald, where Grindelwald is like, what if I become Hitler before Hitler is Hitler? And Dumbledore's like, that's fun until it's clear that it's not going to work out between us. And now I'm like, uh-oh, I guess I'll be a force for good. And that's kind of what I feel like is happening here. Is Garrett is going on. He's chill with a lot more than he would have been if they were just normal bros. But instead, he like wants to please Lucas. He's like, and he doesn't want to make him mad. First of all, because I think there's probably been a lot of gaslighting and emotional manipulation in this relationship already. But I think the way Lucas stroked Carrot's face just brought some things out in us while we were watching this that I was like, this is some kind of fucked up little baby love here.
I'm totally with you on that. I think that is the correct read on this movie. And also I think that might probably be what the director intended as well. Just from what I know about him. Did it say anything about that in the AMA, Sydney? I need to read this AMA.
Me too.
It was honestly really good. Yeah, the AMA was great. 10 out of 10. Recommend doing some Reddit research.
Also, this director is an absolutely ripped hunk, just saying.
Yes, he definitely is a beefcake, and we stan.
Like, he could just, like, kill me by breathing on me in the wrong way, and I respect the hell out of him for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I love this whole thing. Okay, let's talk about the end for a second, because after Ashley gets stabbed in the neck, it seems like she's down for the count. And then the central issue to be resolved is, will Lucas get away with this? And he has most of it under control, but then you see he kind of hits a snag when he's trying to get the pencil back on his door to prove that he was in his room the whole time and never came out. And that's when he has some trouble, and he ends up like going out on the roof and sneaking back in like on the roof, but he almost knocks over the deer and he knocks over the candy cane, and his parents almost look up and see him a few times. And you're just like, okay, will he get away with this? I felt like it was so deserved to see him struggle with that pencil, like that moment when after the despair of thinking that Ashley wasn't going to make it to the end of the movie, you know what I mean? That was like what I was riding on. I was like, he can't get this pencil back on, like this little fuck, like he's going to get caught. Yeah, and for me, if he had gotten caught, that would have almost been good enough, you know what I mean? And even just to see him struggle, if he had made it into his bed perfectly and the movie just ended there, I would have been so sad, but I also would have been impressed, you know what I mean? Like, because he put so much work in. The sleepwalking thing started like years before, and we learned that in a conversation with Carrot, where he says like, I'm the Harry Houdini of getting away with things. Don't you remember when my mom caught us stealing from her purse and I pretended to be sleepwalking so we could get away with it? And then in the beginning of the movie, the mom says like he's been sleepwalking again. So like not only is this something that he came up with years ago to get out of trouble, but he has brought it back in rotation in anticipation of this night so that he can have the alibi of the pencil over the door with the sleeping pill. Like he has like laid the groundwork so well. And also that they've had this Home Alone fight, and then he's like, do you know what? This is the perfect opportunity to find out for real and not just an ER doctor's take on the internet. Like, let's smash somebody in the face with a paint can from a banister and just see how it goes. I loved that he was so committed to the truth. You know what I mean? Like, he could have put that scientific mind to work in other ways. He didn't. But that was a question that needed answering from Home Alone, you know?
I wanted the ending to be so in the first scene, the mom kind of overhears them talking about him. He's like, well, I hope you get ass. And it cuts to the mom like standing there listening to their whole conversation. And Garrett tries to save himself by being like, oh, getting some assistance on your computer problem. Okay, gotta go, bye. And then I would have liked to have seen the mom set up a nanny cam.
Ooh.
Because she overheard him being like, trying to fuck the babysitter, just like to make sure nothing inappropriate happens. And then after all this, like she goes and checks the nanny cam and realizes it's her own fucking kid.
That would have been so good. Oh,
She
I would have
also-
loved that.
She catches Carrot messing around with some pills in the bathroom, and then he's just like, where's your itch cream? And it's just like, all right, Carrot. But so even if it wasn't like she catches them with a nanny cam, if it just had left the mom being like, something's not right here, like you see it dawning on her face that like there's more to this than it seems, I think that would have been okay. But I liked what it was, which is that Ashley fucking survives because she's brilliant, genius, iconic, everything in the world. Because she took that duct tape from her mouth, don't know how, because she again is tied up, but suspend disbelief or whatever.
I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah, she slaps it on her wound and it slows the bleeding enough that she has not bled out by the time the paramedics get there, and then she just flips Luke off through the window as they bring her into the ambulance. And I was like, fuck yes, fuck you, Luke.
Yeah, that was like such a beautiful freaking ending, because like I really loved the scene when he's cleaning up his mess, the mess he made, and like setting everything up, and he's so happy and stuff. Like I hated him so much, but I also was like, damn, he got away. He's probably gonna get away with it, you know.
He's got
And
style.
Yeah, he's got style in his little like ho 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 sweater that he's wearing. He's just bebopping around, you know. And I also love that like once his mom comes home or his parents come home, he gets what he wants in that moment where she's holding him like he's a little baby, and he looks so happy. And I was like, ugh, this is Trey nasty, but also like full circle, so that's nice, I guess.
He
But, like,
did it
oh,
all
God.
for that moment.
Yeah, just to be embraced by Mama once more. But like, I just love that moment when they're like, one's still alive, and he's like, oh fuck, like that. Oh God, I love that. A mini twist just for me.
One of the things that I literally just thought of that bothers me about this movie is, how did he make hot cocoa for the carolers in time for them? Like, how, like I thought about this. There's a
That was
scene where
weird.
where Ashley is running out of the house and Garrett has to chase her, and I think Luke chucks the brick at her face, at her head, which
Oh.
how does he hit her perfectly on the head? Again, lots of questions. But she is
talented man. You saw him with that baseball bat. He also can pitch.
he is like, so she is tied up in the Christmas lights this time, which a new kink that I've discovered for the holidays. Please, somebody tie me up in Christmas lights.
The visual of that, incredible. I do feel like the little light bulbs would burn your skin. But the concept, beautiful.
But he is like at the door and there's carolers singing, and he's like, oh man, like here's some hot cocoa. But how did he have enough time to make hot cocoa for these carolers?
He's got an electric kettle, Sydney. I don't know what to tell you.
But here's the thing,
Those
you
things
can't
are
make hot cocoa with water. I mean, he is a psychopath,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
maybe he did.
How much
saw a
effort is
tweet
he's
today
not?
that said, I saw a tweet today that said, if you use water to make hot cocoa, you're going to hell. And you know what? As someone who doesn't drink milk, sometimes you just have to make do, okay? And I didn't appreciate that. But, you know, he is a psychopath, so it makes sense that he would do the thing that sends you straight to hell.
Monica and I,
Again,
with our
just
mushroom
proving
pizza
that-
and our water hot chocolate, like, we're already doomed. It's fine.
Just proving once again that I am the only sane one on this podcast.
To be clear, I do agree that the milk hot chocolate is far superior, but when
We've
it
got
comes
the
down
time,
to
the
it,
effort.
yeah,
the
when it comes down
foresight.
to it, I got a kettle with water right here. I'm gonna
Mhm.
use that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chelsea. It's about how fast I can have hot cocoa. You know?
I just don't have the foresight at the grocery store to be buying milk. Like, no, it's not for me.
Thank you. I'm glad we're on the same page here. But I'm glad you brought up that scene, Sydney, because when the carolers come and they're singing, and they're good, by the way. These carolers are fire. Just saying, the harmonies, ooh, very nice. 10 out of 10. But I love that, like, just beyond the foyer of the house, just beyond it, is fucking ketchup and mustard smashed Ricky.
Ugh.
And they're just having a holly jolly Christmas like 5 feet away. And I love scenes like that when like it's so close to the truth coming out, but it's not gonna happen. It just like kills your spirit. It really does.
And he's
can
put
you
on this
imagine
ho
what
ho ho
Ashley was
sweater just to be like,
I
look how
know.
cute and Christmassy I am for these carolers.
feeling? Just be like, I love Christmas. See? Oh man, he's such a freak.
I do want to appreciate the ketchup and mustard thing though, because it's that thought comes to you immediately when you see the paint and the blood mixed together, and it is a
Mhm.
cursed thought, and then it's just reinforced later on when Luke says to Garrett, we need to get the paint off you because you look like a fucking hot dog, which is one of my favorite lines in the movie, and it's just like so absolutely unparalleled, incomparable, damned, you know what I mean? Like everything about it is very, very cursed, but I love it so much.
Yeah, and this is another scene where I'm like, he must have been planning this entire crazy elaborate murder for a very long time, because what home would have that shade of yellow? That much paint. That was like a full can of paint. And also, no one should ever paint anything except for like speed bumps that color yellow. And I love color, okay? But that's like a heinous shade. It's not a mustard, it's not sunshine, it's speed bump yellow. Mustard, yeah, not mustard in the trendy way, mustard in the out of the bottle yellow mustard kind of way.
Okay, so this kind of brings me to the moment, which is of the attacks, of the kills. There's Ricky who gets smashed with a paint can. There's Jeremy who is hung against his will. Garrett is shot with the shotgun, and Ashley, as we know, doesn't actually die, but she gets stabbed in the neck. Was there a death or death attempt that was your favorite?
You go.
I
Sid.
hated all of them. Like,
Oh.
I did not have a good time with any of these deaths. Like, I truly hated all of them.
Why?
Like, Ricky's death, he did, like, I don't know, like,
He was
I hated the situation that they
Mhm.
died. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
sure.
so I was just like, no! Like, they're all sad. Know what I mean? Like, I was like,
Totally.
Like,
Ricky's
this movie made me so uncomfy, like, the entire time I watched it. So I was like, I don't like any of this.
Fair.
I feel like Ricky's death was so extra sad because one, absolutely fucked up. Are you kidding me? So fucked up. But two, it's that horrible moment when like like if you have a brother or sister, I don't, so I don't know if this happens. Chelsea, weigh in. Sydney, weigh in. But like your brother or sister stole something from you and you want it back and you're like, drop it right now, and then they just drop it on the floor and it breaks. It's like that exact moment when Ashley like runs out and she's like, put that down right now, drop that paint can, and he's like, Luke is like, okay, and he just fucking perfectly launches it and explodes Ricky's face. Like, and Ashley has to watch it all happen, and she kind of, like, it's not her fault at all, but, like, she said put it down, and he did, so it's just an absolutely tragic in all senses, and just so gross. I'm so glad they didn't, like, show it, like, go into his head, because I would have yacked, probably.
Bombed, yeah.
Yeah, bomb.com right then and there. But they did, that shot was really cool, because if I recall correctly, it's kind of like you see the paint can coming right toward him, but like from behind the paint can, and then it like hits and it goes away, it like cuts immediately to something else. So
it goes to like his feet, and you see everything like dripping down.
Yeah, it was shot incredibly well. So A+ to Hunky Director on that one.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think in terms of picking a fave, there can be no fave other than Ricky's death. Not just because it's sad, and not just because in a previous scene, after being stabbed in the cheek with the pencil and being forced to smoke weed, we saw the weed smoke drift through the hole in his cheek, which disturbed me so deeply, and I did love because it disturbed me so deeply. But the whole...
That was a super rad shot, though.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many rad shots in this movie. I am so sorry that it made you uncomfy and sad, but I love it so much. But the build-up is what another scene that I transcribed, where we've got Ricky in his chair at the bottom, below the banister on the staircase, and we've got Garrett hanging out next to him smoking the weed, and we've got Luke upstairs at the banister being like, hey Garrett, and scouts where clove hitches clockwise or counterclockwise, and you don't really know what he's doing, and unless you've also been in scouts, you maybe don't know what a clove hitch is, but it's a type of knot, and so you're just like not fully processing what's going on until the paint can swings down by Ricky and Garrett's heads, and that's when Garrett is like, oh, you're fucking home aloneing him, and then you're like, oh my god, and then everybody starts freaking out, and Ricky's like, dude, what are you doing? Please let me out of this. And Luke is just like, is it level with his head? And Garrett is like, you're gonna kill him, stop. Like, that's when Garrett starts to realize that shit is real. And Luke is just like,
his lover is unhinged.
Yes, Luke is just like, you said that the paint can would knock him back, like in the movie. And Garrett says, okay, look, I take it back. Everything I said, I'm sorry. You win. Just stop it, please. And Luke says, let's just try it one more time. Just beautiful. And then afterwards, Garrett is like, why did you kill him? And Luke is like, correction, you killed him by smoking pot in the house. That weed is evidence. You want to go to jail. And it's just like, oh my god. But the ketchup and mustard hot dog aspect of that death just fully cements it for me as the most iconic in the movie. I think it's the perfect answer to Home Alone. I think we've had the Home Alone discourse for so many years now where it's like, that would kill a man, that would kill a man, that would kill a man. Kevin McCallister is a psycho. Kevin McCallister is so lucky that none of this had any lasting effects. Kevin McCallister is taking too much pleasure in all of these schemes. You know what I mean? I think we needed this movie in response, and I think that scene most of all just was sublime.
Yeah, that was definitely the best death, but I do just want to give a little shine to the Jeremy segment of this entire movie, just because even though we know that Jeremy, aka Dacker Montgomery, internationally known hottie, it is historically a creeper to Ashley, so we don't like him for that. He has been too much, but I do have to say that moment when Jeremy first shows up, he pulls up in his car, and he's just so like absolutely jazzed to see Ashley, and he's like trying to like pump himself up. He's like chugging a beer, and he's like, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how are you doing? And like looks like the ultimate douche canoe, like that hat. Like, imagine this, you guys. He dies in that outfit. That's his ghost outfit. Like,
but he would love it.
Like he's happy. body, but like every time he pops up, he doesn't ever get a chance to grow out of this horrible phase of fashion, and that's a true tragedy.
I just love that he's like such a dick that he's absolutely not willing to participate at first. Like Luke is, you can tell he's getting so frustrated with him because Luke is like, no, you can't go in there. Like you have to sit and write an apology. Ashley doesn't want to see you until you've apologized. And Jeremy's basically just like, go fuck yourself. But eventually Luke gets him to sit down on the swing and do it, and convinces him to like really do it after he just like I'm sorry. At first Luke is like, don't you even want to see her? So he finally is like, okay, I'm gonna put some real feeling into this, I'm gonna put some thought into this. And he's like, this is fucking Shakespeare. Like, is this what she wants? This is Shakespeare. And then you see what he's written, and it's just, please forgive me for everything I've done. Like, Jeremy writing that and being like, this is the language of love. Like, this is an apology from the gods. Like, to me, I think that is so funny.
He's such a
And he
simple
also
man.
has like very frilly like writing, which is hilarious.
Beautiful handwriting, a calligrapher. Yeah, I just, he was in it for 5 seconds, but I really enjoyed that addition in the film. But his death was absolutely fucked and terrible, and I knew that swing was gonna be something because earlier in the movie they did like an ominous shot of it slightly moving, and I was like, sus. I wrote in my notes in all caps, ominous swing. So it came back. And that, my friend, is foreshadowing. But yeah, definitely Ricky's death was the ultimate. It packed a punch. So should we get into some of our age-old questions here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We kind of already covered could it be gayer. Did we have anything else to say?
I mean, I think the dad could have sucked a dick in college. You know what I mean? Like, I would have been okay with that if he was like, yes, I did suck a dick one time, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I tried it out, and I don't want to.
I gave it a shot. I did like The Wizard of Oz, so I thought might as well.
I would have liked that too, and you know, if Luke had like this turned into a romantic comedy, and Luke like is like Ashley's all tied up, and then he looks at Carrot, and he's like, you know what? It was never Ashley. It was you, Carrot, all along. And then they make out, and the carolers come and sing a Christmas song around them as they make out. The end. That could have
A much happier movie.
been good. But yeah, I mean, besides that, I'm satisfied. There was enough gay feeling for me that it got me through. Yeah.
For sure. I do feel that Ashley could go on to be bisexual and date a woman in college.
Yes, I feel that as well.
Yes, that would 100% happen for Ashley.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
She's like, I've like felt this inside for a while, but after all of these men were just so damn like horrible to me, I'm gonna just live my life and live my truth and actually date women now. I think that this is a catalyst event for her.
She just is
Ricky
gonna
was
not
sweet,
feel
but he's
safe
also
dating men
dumb.
for a while, I think, you know?
Yeah. Because like we love
honestly fair.
Mm-hmm.
He was a sweetie, but also he's so stupid because there's that moment where she's trying to like cut herself free from her binds, and he's like, I'm gonna take this time to make a love confession to you and say that I'm so sorry, and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and it's like, actually I'm trying to focus on saving our lives. Can you shut the fuck up for 1 second? Like,
Just
please,
not
Ricky.
the moment.
Yeah, there will hopefully be time later, but then there wasn't, so I guess I'm glad he got it out.
Okay, so
oh,
you go.
Okay, so Matthew Lillard, can he be in this film? Where could he be in this film? How do you feel? No restraints on how time works or space or anything like that. He could be any age, except for Chelsea.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like my restraints, but other than that, you know, I love Kronk as the dad so much that I don't think I want Matthew Lillard to be the dad.
I agree.
I could have seen him as young Jeremy.
Oh, totally, totally, totally.
Yep.
Right? Like
Yep.
I would have loved to see him like psyching himself up in the car. Like he
100%.
seems like Scream. Matthew Lillard could have been Jeremy.
I honestly
100%.
think he could have been Ricky too.
Yeah. I feel like he
wouldn't
could
have
have
been
been
as
Ricky, but
good.
he wouldn't have been able to like show off his crazy side
Yes.
as much. And that's what I really like seeing from him. Like when I see him get like all worked up and unhinged, it's like a really big turn on for me. So that's what I'm always looking for when I add him into these movies. Yeah, I feel like he would have been a great Jeremy, and also like if Matthew Lillard had been a child actor, would have loved to see him as Luke.
Mhm.
Oh, that would have been nice.
I wonder what he looked like as a child. We'll be searching this and we'll report back.
I don't know. I thought everybody was so great in their roles that I don't really want to substitute anybody with Matthew Lillard. But I think we could have sprinkled Matthew Lillard in as one of the Christmas carolers, perhaps. Or, it could have been, even though we never saw the pizza delivery man's face, I would have loved if Matthew Lillard was the pizza delivery man, being just like a little extra creepy. Maybe Lucas wrote that in, like, you know how when you order a pizza, you can do sometimes like a special request and people will have fun with them online, being like, I don't know. I can't think of any examples. But if they like wrote in the special request, like, we're having a scary movie night, can you be a little creepy with the pizza delivery? You know what I mean? Like, we could have had Matthew Lillard tucked behind that door being the creepy delivery man. He could have been like one of the EMTs at the end of the movie, or one of the police officers on scene. Like, I would have loved to have him be present on this set, and I think he would have had a lot of fun with it. But I don't know that I would want to sub him out necessarily.
A
I respect
sneaky
that.
way they could have had him in the movie was if the movie that they were watching was Scream.
Ooh, I was wondering what movie they were watching. Does anybody know? Was it a real movie?
I don't think it was a real movie because if you look in the like cast listing, it says Alexandra Matusko, scary movie girl, Georgia Holland, scary movie girl. So I
Got
think
it.
that they just like cast people to say scary movie sounding things.
Okay. He
But
could have
you
been
know,
in
this
that.
is great
He could have been in that little movie. You know what I mean?
100%. I would have been great. That would have been wonderful. Just one shot and it's Matthew Lillard being like, ha ha ha, with the knife. I would love
Amazing.
that. Okay, so do we have any more segments? No.
Yes, we have two.
No, I know. Before we get to the knives and all of that.
Knives
stuff.
Out of Fives is last, and then
I
Dumb
know.
Bitch is second to that. But I think unless anybody wants to share their favorite scene or their favorite quotes or anything, we've covered all of our regular beats.
All our regular beats. I'm ready to go with dumb bitch. God, I haven't thought about this at all. Someone else go first. Who is your dumb bitch?
I didn't really give it much thought either, because while Luke is a dumb bitch for thinking that he could get away with this, because there are multiple ways he could get caught if the police are thorough, which is the bloody pencil shavings and the pencil sharpener, and like
Yes.
there's no way he cleaned up all of the blood perfectly. There's no way his fingerprints aren't going to be on something. There's no way they're not going to see like the lawnmower tracks in the snow outside, or you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think he would be like perfectly capable of covering his tracks. I think if they wanted to look into it, like if they don't believe that he really was asleep in his room the whole time, or if they just want to verify that, they would uncover some stuff. But he's also such a smart bitch, because some of this is so well planned and like he really did the work, that I don't want him to be the dumb bitch of the episode. Obviously it's not Ashley. She's perfect and an angel. I guess Jeremy could be a dumb bitch, you know what I mean? Because not only is he harassing his ex-girlfriend, which is dumb bitch behavior, but also he doesn't know how to write an apology, which is dumb bitch behavior, and also he dresses like that, which is dumb bitch behavior. But I think ultimately I have to go with Garrett, who allowed himself to be blinded by his love for Luke into being implicated in all of this. And even if he hadn't died, you know what I mean? He would have still been an accomplice to 3 murders, and that's bad.
That's bad.
to put it lightly.
I mean, I totally agree with you. It's definitely between Jeremy and Carrot for me, just because Lucas, though I hate him and he should be punched, he's really smart with this murdering thing. He's got a knack for it, I think. He's doing a great job.
Real prodigy.
Real prodigy there. But Garrett, yeah, he's just so dumb. I like Garrett so much. He just wants to do oxy, and hang out. He just
Wants to
do
smoke a little pot with his bro.
out. I can't imagine smoking weed and doing oxy at the same time would also be a good idea. But okay, maybe, he's the dumb bitch. He's doing a lot of things that are very questionable. Oh, Jesus. But we still love him, and I still find his soul to be innocent at the end of the day. I feel like God will pardon him.
The way that he said, "I want my mom" when he got shot the first time, pure,
Oh, it was
sad, heartbreaking.
Terrible. He didn't even get to finish it because he got shot in the freaking face right after. Oh, God. I hate you, Luke. Why would you hurt your lover like this?
Sydney, who did you think was the dumb bitch?
I agree with both of y'all, and it is 100% Garrett, even though he is a noodle and I love him.
Aw, he sure is a little noodle. But yeah, I mean, I just think,
Noodle.
he got himself wrapped up into some bad shit here, and I mean, again, Luke is great at hiding who he is, but Garrett is the one who theoretically could have known him better than anybody, and he sees at least the lengths that Lucas is willing to go to try and seduce his babysitter and gaslight her into thinking she's about to be murdered so that she will kiss him. And I think maybe that could have been a giveaway that, like, something was not right,
Maybe. Just a maybe. Yeah, I'm sorry, Garrett and / Carrot. We love you, but you're dumb as hell, and now you're dead, and very sad.
Calling him a noodle, I think, was perfect. He's absolutely a noodle. And unfortunately, it sounds like he's officially our dumb bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Wah.
Poor Garrett. Maybe in another life. Okay. It's time for our knives out of 5s. And I feel like, Chelsea, maybe you should go first, or do you want to hear ours first? What do you feel? This is your baby.
This is my baby, and I am scared and already upset to find out what Sydney is going to give this movie, because she and I just think are not on the same page. I think we both agree, and let me know if I'm speaking out of turn here. I think we both agree it was a really well-written film and really well done. It's just that I was thrilled by it, and Sydney felt tortured by it.
Yeah.
But I love the dialogue so much. There were so many iconic lines that I wrote down. There were so many good moments. Some of my favorite lines. Let's see if there are any that I need to give a shout out to that I didn't yet, other than, again, the hot dog line, you're fucking home aloneing him. The bubble gums pussy stuff. This one I absolutely love. There's a moment where Ashley's like, "This is not okay," and Carrot says, "Neither is, like, political corruption in West Africa." Loved that. And he's got a point, you know what I mean? Like, I just think...
And then he's like, and also, that paper's due Monday, I need help with it. Like, that's what his follow-up is.
Like, he's just so in his own 12-year-old brain. Anyway, this movie is great. I loved it so much. There is, I don't think, really anything that I would change or anything that I would improve upon. Watching it by myself that first time was so balls to the wall that I texted you guys. I texted our spooky crew. I texted one of my other friends. Like, I needed to share with someone that I was having this experience that I just shocked me to my core. I love this movie. I wish I could watch it for the first time again. It was such a good second to show it to you guys for the first time that I think I just want to give it 5 knives out of 5.
Is that
That's not the first time you've done
No,
that,
I
is
gave
it?
Scream 3 6 knives out of 5, so.
Okay, that's what it was. I was like, I feel like the only one that you felt this way about was Scream 3, and the only through line between those two is Kronk. And so
Patrick
the
Warburton is
secret
powerful.
is, yes, Kronk must be in all of our films that we watch in order to get that high score from you. And I will do the work to find more Kronk scary movies if they do exist.
Well, I gave the first Scream 5 knives. I gave Scream 3 6 knives. Let's see, did anything else get a 5 from me? Blair Witch Project got a 5 from me. I'm very generous with my ratings a lot of the time.
You are
And
generous.
Black Christmas was really close. It was a 4.85.
Okay.
And in hindsight, maybe I should have just given it a 5, but I didn't, so oh well.
No. As someone who likes to get real into the nitty gritty, I respect that choice.
Okay.
You can't, you can't round up.
But how about
Man,
you? What did you think?
I feel like I'm gonna be in a medium place compared to you, Chelsea, at the top, and Sydney, filled with loathing towards this film. I had a really good time. I think I had a better time the second time I watched it because I picked up all the little details in the beginning that I didn't pick up the first time around because they really do a shitload of foreshadowing in the first 10 minutes. Sweet God. But yeah, I mean, the twist was amazing. And the whole thing was so well done. Like the freaking spooky light up Santa that's making the face. Like, oh my God, that's not something that's sold anywhere, I hope. But if it is, I want it. Like, there's so many great little details. But at the end of the day, I did also feel very upset while watching this. And I don't know. I had a really fun time, but I don't think I want to watch it again for many, many years. So I'm going to give it a good grade from me because it's me and I'm kind of stingy sometimes. And I think that this one is like a straight up 4 out of 5 for me. It was a wild ride. I had a really good time, but also I feel sad at the end of the day.
Fair enough.
So that's that for me.
Sydney, are you going to break my heart?
So I'm going to be a lot nicer than I think either of you are expecting because I did really like the first 30 minutes of this movie, but after the first 30 minutes, I was just like, no, thank you. I never want to watch this movie again, but I can appreciate the fun banter and how it is shot. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 knives.
Oh, you were like...
A 2.5 out of 5 knives. So there you go.
Okay, 50%.
Is extra for you.
I thought we were gonna get at least a 3 once you were like, I'm gonna be nice. No, all right, that's fine. I respect your rating.
No, because I wanted to watch this movie, and then I was like having a good time, and then I was like, no, absolutely not. Goodbye.
Fair enough.
Very fair. Very fair. There are a lot of things to be upset about.
Yeah. For me, it's got a lot of rewatchability because of all the foreshadowing in the beginning. But I can understand why somebody would just be like, this is where I draw the line and I don't want to look at it ever again because it is objectively horrible of the human spirit, you know?
I also just find movies like this with like an insane twist, and I know I've said this before, like they're not fun to watch as much for me, at least past the second watching, so you can notice all the stuff you didn't notice the first time when you didn't know the twist. But then after that, you're like, I know the twist. It's not going to be exciting anymore. So I don't know if I'll watch this again. Maybe I'll wait like at least a year, and then my dumb bitch brain will forget the entire plot, and maybe I can re-enjoy it.
You can show it to Adam and watch Adam watch this movie, and maybe it'll be like getting to experience it for yourself for the first time.
I'll just stare at him the whole time. I won't look at the movie. I'll just stare at him the whole time.
Well, it's a good thing Adam doesn't listen to the podcast, so he'll never know.
He does now. But he won't listen to this one. He won't listen to this one. Not yet. All right, so I think that concludes, right? What are we doing next week?
Next week is such a good one. We are diving into the classique Sleepy Hollow.
Wow. You know, I think that this was one of the first movies, like scary movies, that I realized that I was lame because I didn't watch scary movies. Like I was a child and like the Alavis saw this movie and they were talking about it. They're twins from my school. And I was like, oh my God. They're like, it was so scary. My mom and dad like let me see it and it was so scary. And I was like, oh my God, I could never watch it. But Johnny Depp's in it and I love him. This was a long time ago. And so I felt really left out. And so then I never saw this movie until like 5 years ago, and then I fell asleep during it. So this might be like kind of my first watch.
Wow. And it's got Queen Christina Ricci in it too.
Tiny
I
baby.
didn't-
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. I don't remember any of this. So this might be like the first full watch for me. I'm very excited.
Yeah. This is another one for me where it's like I think I've seen it, but I don't recall anything specific. So I guess we'll find out. I've definitely had exposure to it on TV, which is why I think I've seen it. But it's gonna be as if I'm watching it for the first time unless I watch it and I'm like, no, I remember everything. But we'll have to find out.
We're in the same boat here.
I can't wait to watch this
excited.
with y'all.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, that concludes our episode of Spooky Tuesday, and it concludes all of our Christmas time. We're going back to more run-of-the-mill horror from now on, so you'll get a little bit of the Yuletide break. But if you like what you hear, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at spooky_Tuesday. And if you're still on Facebook having fights with your parents about politics, put something happy in your feed, which is pictures from scary movies of like dead people, but with funny captions. And that's us. We're facebook.com/spookytuesdaypod. And also please rate us 5 out of 5 knives, aka 5 out of 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. We need those beautiful reviews. Mwah. Happy holidays, spookies.
Bye, spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.
You were never gonna let me go, were you? Guilty.